30 minutes of power.
I have a question for you. How long have you been sitting on your book idea? If you're tired of thinking about it and ready to actually make progress, join me the last Sunday of every month for my live writing masterclass. Now, this isn't just another class. It's an interactive space where you're finally getting some clarity on your book, help you break through some mindsets that are blocking you, and get the roadmap to actually start writing. And as a bonus, when you register, you'll get a free 20-minute coaching session with me. Spots are limited. Don't wait. Click the link in the show notes, scan the QR code, sign up. Let's get your book out of your head and onto the page. I'll see you there. Welcome back to another lovely episode of 30 Minutes of Power, TOP, your one-stop shop for all things encouraging, entertaining, and motivating. It's your girl, folks, Jori O'Neale here. What's going on today? Woo, child! We are in for a masterclass in movement, making advocacy and purpose-driven power. Today's guest is a powerhouse. Her name is Courtney Teasley, a former criminal justice lawyer, a social justice strategist, business consultant, lawyer coach, and the founder of the D.A.M.M Advocate Program. No, people, I didn't curse. Disproportionately affected, marginalized minority communities. And in case you didn't know, she said to help us unlock the next level of leadership, both in the legal space and maybe in your personal space. Welcome, Courtney, to the show. What's going on, sis? How you doing?
Yes. Can I just hire you to introduce me everywhere? First of all, it was amazing. Thank you so much, Jori. I'm so happy to be here with you. Super excited to be a part of the IYH network.
Listen, we're happy to have you. So what a lot of people might not know is that Courtney actually coaches me, and she helps me get my mind right, get my business right, and keep my money tight. So if y'all is leaning in, I hope y'all gleaning also some of these jewels and gems she's about to drop for you today. We're gonna start at the beginning. You were a criminal justice attorney, correct?
Yes, I am.
You still are. You practicing?
Yeah, girl. Well, not by choice. I have a few lingering cases that won't leave. So that means that I'm just closing out my cases. I've been a criminal defense lawyer among other, I practice in other areas as well for the last 12 years. And so in 2022, when I unseated a judge here in Nashville with one of my first lawyer clients, we actually made Nashville history doing that. And I kind of just felt called, like, it's time to move, right? You know, I'm a church girl. It's a song. There's a leak in this old building, and my soul has got to move. And so I started to feel that I needed to move out of the practice of law so I could be way more effective in helping activate the next generation of lawyers to be actual fighters, not just plea pushers, right? And so, to educate the community on legal literacy, the things that they're not actually getting in school or anywhere else. However, they are 6 times more incarcerated than the 60% white majority, yet we only make up less than 14%. And so I'm trying to get out of the practice, but with criminal cases, sometimes they linger on for quite some time. So I only have like 3 left, and then I will be former criminal defense lawyer.
That's deep and a mouthful. Listen. So you haven't officially changed careers, but you've definitely pivoted.
Absolutely. I pivoted out of how I interact in that career. So now I am not I'm not the practitioner in that career. I'm the coach, I'm the trainer, and I am the loudmouth who is keeping an eye on the criminal justice system and reporting back to the community on what's going on.
As you should. And so you're like a justice superhero.
You know what is so funny? I love that you said that, Jori. Yeah, I am in my mind. I'm a Super Saiyan, right? So I've always been a Super Saiyan, and I literally activate and ignite, and that's the vision of what happens when I do whatever I'm doing in the community when I'm disrupting. So I guess I'm a criminal justice Super Saiyan.
Okay, and for some of you who don't know, she's not saying Super Satan. All right, that's a Naruto reference. Okay, people.
It's Dragon Ball Z.
Sure, that guy too.
Saiyan. Saiyan is anime.
Oh no, I was messing because my kid, he goes around saying he's Super Saiyan all the days of his life. Yeah, I mean just the hand gestures, all the things. like I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
sir, you better stop.
Tell them, listen, that's childhood. From childhood, I watched that all the time, and so being a grown up, it's just kind of how it comes out of me, right? In my mind, that's what when I need to do hard things, I gotta turn into a Super Saiyan.
Love that. So, one thing that I know about you and the work that you do from the research that I did, you're not just calling out injustice, you're also calling up leaders. So
Oh, come on
let
now.
let us segue a little bit. What is this passion you have about calling forth the next generation of legal leaders?
You know, and it's legal leaders, but it's also just leaders in general. Like, listen, financial power is a prerequisite for social justice.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I told you we unseated a judge and made Nashville history doing so, because one had not been unseated in the criminal court ever. And it took money. It took a lot of money and it took a lot of backing. And so I learned that, wow, this is one way to get things done. Okay, this is one way that if I want to see change way faster, we need to make way more money. And that's in every aspect, right? So, in any part of the criminal justice system, if you are actually wanting to help marginalized people and they're fighting cases, then you would assist them in having fully the power to fight back. That means experts, that means retesting, all of those. And guess what? That costs money. And so a lot of times people think that only poor people are in the criminal justice system. That couldn't be further from the truth. And so, what I would like people to understand is that at this level, what we're dealing with in the world, right? We know at this moment how oppressive it is. And we know that the criminal justice system evolved from slavery, from black codes to convict leasing, on down to, the Jim Crow and where we are now. It's a system of control. And so, when you know that for marginalized people, but the way we fight back has to be strategic. And we have to be able to have financial backing behind us. And we can't depend only on donors. Because if you disrupt too much, what happens? What those donors do? Withdraw.
Yep.
So whatever thing you were doing that was so great is now left dormant and thus ineffective. And that's what we see a lot of here in the South. And so I think that I want people to understand is that, especially, and I talk to my lawyers all the time, if you can pull yourself up, like if you can put yourself first for a second and see what are your needs, what do you truly want, right? So that way you are able to live that life that you ultimately want to live. You're able to have profit. You're not underwater. Then you open your brain up to create more innovative and creative solutions to some of the most harmful issues in the community. So that's where I'm calling leaders in, right? We have brain power. And so focus on you, grow your businesses, do exactly what you're doing, make profit, make impact, right? And with that impact, with your dollars, you can disrupt in a multitude of ways. So that's usually what I'm trying to get people to understand is that take care of you so you can take care of others.
I love that. So you're not doing what most people usually do and relying heavily on the nonprofit and the fact that they're uniquely positioned to challenge systemic oppression. Like you're like, no,
No,
no, no, no, no, no,
no.
no, 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 no. Yes, nonprofits play a role in that.
Yes.
But in order for there to be some form of continual, systematized transitioning, disruption, change, it needs to come back like a dollar sign behind that joint.
It needs to come. Yeah, listen, y'all, look, nonprofits are great. But guess what? When I was a lawyer, and when I say a legal disruptor, like I'm known for way more than just criminal defense. So if someone's being taken advantage of in any kind of realm, they're coming to me. So I had a nonprofit who was doing good work, right? And they wanted to move the work that they were doing. I think they were doing some halfway houses or whatever, and they wanted to move into a for-profit model. Oh, baby. The state got all involved. Like, hey, absolutely not. Even they had hired lawyers to do the sale to the for profit, all these things. State was like, nah, that's not good enough. No, you can't just do that. You're not just going to be able to do whatever you want with your nonprofit. You can't make it a for profit. You're not going to be able to move here. Then I've had nonprofits who had maybe court watching initiatives, which is really dope. We really, need more court watching initiatives and people who actually come back and report to the community on what's going on. But guess what happened when they started reporting back too much, or where they were coming and letting the community know some of the horrible things that were going on from the elected officials within there and the government officials who work there? Well, now their money is cut off. So you're not able to have that program anymore, right? Because your donors are not sending you money anymore. So these are the little things that happen to control this area. And so what I found was that the majority of efforts to fight in this area are just all reactive in general, and they're all usually funded through nonprofits, and that's what makes it so ineffective, because I'm glad that you do it for a couple of months or so, but if I'm practicing for 12 and 13 years and 20 years, like, there are a lot of people who need this. So that's what I started finding out, is that we have to be more resourceful. We have to recognize our own power to create wealth, our own power to create businesses as a vehicle, right, to systemic disruption. And I mean, there are others who do the same. It used to be Ben and Jerry's at one point, remember? Bless their hearts. I mean, just no, not, I was gonna say shout out to Ben and Jerry. Shout out to Jerry. Shout out to Jerry from Ben and Jerry's. It makes me sad, but you got Tom's. Tom's, if you buy a shoe from them, they'll match it, and do another one. So, I mean, there's so many ways you can build your business. For me, with my business, whenever we are selling our books, whenever we're doing initiatives, we're going to take 10% of our product profits and we're going to actually utilize it for businesses that are disrupting proactively in this realm and creatively, that are thinking outside the box. And so that's how I like to use my business to activate others to do the same.
I love that. And I love that model. Like, so in the publishing company that I own now, I was gonna say I work with,
Right.
my co-owner of publishing company. Yes.
I love that.
The one and only publishing. Part of what we actually do is most publishing companies, they take a percentage, right, in terms of royalties from the book sales. So what we've done is we've kind of flipped that model. 90% of the royalties actually go back to the author. We retain 10%, but that 10%, unbeknownst to a lot of people, actually goes into our sponsor a book fund.
Wow.
We sponsor other people's books. There are tons of people who have stories that absolutely need to be out into the universe.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, they don't have the funds, they don't have the backing, they don't have the support that they need.
Yes.
So we're proactively funding that. So every person who comes in, you get a book, you sell your books, 10% of that goes back into the sponsored book fund. And so just trying to find a way to pay it forward. But can you share a few practical tips that someone listening today could take to become a more proactive advocate in their city?
Oh my God. First of all, yes, thank you for asking me that. In your city, I think that the first thing is, I kind of already, hinted at it, but I think that financial literacy is huge. Make sure you understand that, right? Make sure you understand how you can use your dollars to disrupt, in what ways. But I think you have to really, really lean in on what your civic duties are, like what you can do as a citizen. For in the legal industry, criminal justice world, many people didn't know that you could just come into a courthouse and go sit in any courtroom, and go watch what's going on and come back and report. And it's like, you're a citizen, you pay them. Many people didn't know that, well, I saw where an officer did something horrible in this neighboring city or in the city, and it's like, I don't know, what can I do? And it's like, what do you mean? You can file a complaint, you can demand records, so when I was fighting this case called #DisruptManchester, if you're on Instagram, you can look #DisruptManchester. They put 5 kids, Black children, into foster care, all over a very small amount of marijuana, while their parents were driving from Atlanta to go to Chicago, and they came through Manchester, Tennessee. So it's crazy. I know. It's crazy. But they took the children, they put them into foster care. And so what we did was let the community know what was going on. And we know to do this because we know, like in Selma, right? Why did they go across that bridge and take that beating? They wanted the cameras. They wanted people to see in real time what's going on to Black people. And that's what we did out there because that town is known as a sundown town to those around. And so when we
Can
started,
you speak to that real quick? Because I have a mixed group of listeners, and I'm learning more and more that there's so much that is unknown because it's not talked about.
yeah, so oh, well, I forget. You guys are up in New York. So I am in the South. I'm in Nashville. And down here in the South, and I in many parts of the country, people deal with different things. But here in the South, we know certain towns to be known as sundown towns. And a sundown town is just back in the day, it meant that if you were Black, you better get your Black self out of that town by the time the sun goes down, or else, right? And or else just means you'll be killed. Let's just call it exactly what it is. And so growing up here in Tennessee, as Black people, we know what that, and oh, and that's a popular destination people come to go to Bonnaroo, and go kick it there and go spend all their dollars and everything there. We got all these people to go there, but meanwhile, these people are kidnapping children, Black children, and the lawyers they're hiring there are waiving their hearings. They're using rapid hair follicle tests, which are unreliable. And because any toxicologist is going to tell you, hair follicle test is not coming back rapidly. You can't rely on that. And so that's exactly what they were doing to take children there. And so what I had to do was organize the community because you're not going there by yourself. Okay. And so we organized the community. We had press releases. We had the news come out so that way we could ensure our safety. And also, so we could ensure that the world knew exactly what they were doing in this little small town with some five children who came from Atlanta with their parents, right? And so the community, and what you were saying, what can they do in their own cities? The community, once they started seeing what's going on out there, they started demanding records. Like, they knew that the cops had pulled them over for a slow poke law, right? And then they left him on the side of the road, kept him on the side of the road, took the dad to jail over some marijuana. I mean, it was crazy. And people were pissed about it. They were really angry. And so they then started using their civic right to send over requests for records. They want to see the personnel records of these police officers. I want to see when they've been, that shows me when they've been in trouble before. I want to file a complaint on them. Hey, I want to see that video from when you pulled them over. I want this. And I mean, you're a citizen. You pay these people, right? You pay them. And I think sometimes it's hard for us to see that portion of it. So you can show up to court watch. That's a way you can disrupt. You can utilize your civic duty to file complaints on behalf of some of the people who are fighting these things. Because if your lawyer's fighting or someone, a community is fighting, well, then a lot of times they want to punish the person who's fighting. So if the community is coming in like, hey, no, we're concerned about this. We don't like what's going on. Here's a record. They're calling people. They're calling the DCS officials. They're calling government officials. They're letting them know that we're looking at y'all and we do not like what you're doing. And we are not going to be quiet about this. That is how you disrupt harmful systems. You care.
Can anyone find this story outside of Instagram, or they find it in a book somewhere or on a periodical?
Not yet. Absolutely not yet. Only reason is because they are in the civil rights part now. So, they're fighting the civil rights portion of the case, and we'll see how that turns out next year. So this case has been going on since 2023. I myself just came out victorious on the other end of a fraudulent bar complaint that was filed on me by one of the lawyers that we brought on to help us in this case. And she actually then she waived the hearing, another hearing. That's apparently what they like to do down there. She waived the hearing and she tried to get the clients to fire me. And then she made up all these lies about me and then filed this bar complaint. And so I fought back, right? Legally, I hired a lawyer and we went to our hearing on Monday. And after I testified for 4 hours, the panel came back and said that they did not believe the board had met their burden in showing that I had intentionally and willfully violated anything. And so it was dismissed. And I'm super happy about that. But it costs money to do that, right? It costs money to fight. It costs stress. It costs a lot to fight back against harmful systems. And so that is yeah, so it's not out in the book yet. None of that's out yet in any type of format, but we're gonna let it play out in court first, and then we'll see where it goes.
You do have two books that are out already. Can you speak
Ah,
a little bit about those?
I do. I have a book series called The Easy Way to Learn Your Rights book series, and I felt like it was my gift back to the community when I decided I was leaving the practice of law. Because I felt horrible about leaving the practice of law, right? I felt like, I'm a good lawyer. I come really highly recommended, but it's my zone of excellence, right? And I know my zone of genius is just so much more. And so I was like, okay, all right, I'm just gonna take all the different things I wish my clients would have known back then, and I'm gonna pop it into this book and teach them legal literacy because I know it's not taught in any schools. And so I broke it all the way down. There's no legal jargon. It's just straight up, here's the Fourth Amendment. This is what the Fourth Amendment is, but more importantly, not just what it says theoretically, and we're just reading about it. Practically, what do you got to say to activate it? Right, and that's what the book series is all about. It's the practical portion, how to activate it. So when you said lawyer superhero, it made my heart skip a beat, because the second book that I just published is on the Fifth Amendment, which the Fifth Amendment has 5 rights. I mean, the Fifth Amendment is packed. So the Fifth Amendment is one of those amendments. When you hear I plead the Fifth, the Fifth Amendment is one of those amendments that you really don't want to sleep on. It is huge. And so we have a character, and she's a lawyer superhero, and it is so cute. I just love her. So we haven't shared it publicly yet, but we'll be doing a book tour next year, and we'll be partnering with churches and partnering with communities who want to teach legal literacy. It's like, guys, we got to get back to the back of the day. What were they doing back in the civil rights movement, right? It was not a lawyer-led movement. This was a community-led movement. And so we're going back grassroots. We're going back into our kitchens. We're going back into our churches, and we're about to get started, baby. We teaching. We're rolling up our sleeves, and we learning, but we're at war, right? It's what it feels like. It's a war on us to harm us. And we know that the criminal justice system is the system of control. And so what we're going to do is we're going to prepare. We're going to prepare. We're going to put on our full armor of God, right? And we're going to put in that legal literacy, that knowledge that's going to be up here. So all of those different things to get started. So I'm super excited to debut that next year.
Hey, man, listen, you're clearly brilliant, right? Strategic, strong. What fuels you? Because you got this fire. I mean, this, woo, like get up and go. Let's get it.
What fuels me? That's good. I like that. I think that's a good question. What fuels me is when I am literally unleashing and unlocking disruptors, right? I love it. I love it because I'm a disruptor. Girl, so unleashing and unlocking disruptors, and you don't have to be a lawyer to be a disruptor, right? And so this is the reason I coach. It's my zone of genius. I get to dwell in this space in a healthy way. When I was in the lawyer world, to me, it's just more toxic, right? Because it's way more negative energy that you have to exude. But it fuels me to be able to help people recognize and see how it works together, right? How can they activate themselves to actually make profit and impact, right? To live the life they want to live in a way that also helps the people they ultimately want to help, right? And being from a marginalized community, we all want to help somebody. We all have someone that we're fighting for. It may not be the criminal justice system for you. It may be, I don't know, maybe single moms. It may be over here in the food issues, the food deserts. It may be over here in environmental justice. It may be in LGBTQ rights. It may be in all these different things. It doesn't matter. There are systems that need disrupting. And what fuels me is activating the people, like to create, to see their power, and then to see it live out in the world. So that's activation enough, child. That fuels me like no other.
I love that. Listen, Coach Courtney, thank you. Thank you for bringing the fire today and for showing us power, purpose, and how we can protest and live in the same breath.
Girl, I love it. Protest, power, purpose, and protest.
Yes.
I love it.
Well, I'm a writer, so.
Listen, and it's apparent in everything that you have said. Like every time you speak, it's like, oh, you got it exactly right. Your chat GPT is in you.
It's in me.
In you.
Listen, we be hanging out. Listen,
love it.
Everyone listening, please make sure you follow Courtney Teasley on all socials. Check out her YouTube channel. She has a podcast as well. We didn't get into that too much. But if you
Black Law Girl.
Say what now?
At Black Law Girl on YouTube.
At Black Law, of course it is. Of course that's what it's called. Of course it is. Of course. But what else would it be called? Of course.
I don't know, child. I don't know.
So yeah, follow her on socials at the Courtney Teasley, on all socials, honestly, in all platforms. And as always, fam, we ask that you be an empowered person using your power to empower others. Till next time, people. Peace. All right, before we wrap up today, I want to remind you, if the book is on your heart, then this Sunday is your chance to finally take that first step. Join me for a live writing masterclass, and we'll break down the book writing process and get you moving forward from idea to execution. So head over to jorioneale.com/your_story_matters. Thanks for tuning in to 30 Minutes of Power. We hope today's episode inspired you to take action and make a positive change in your life. Remember, your power is meant to empower others. So share this episode with someone who needs encouragement today. We'd love to hear from you. So connect with us on Instagram at 30 Minutes of Power. Until next time, stay empowered and keep empowering others.
30 minutes of power.